Hello and welcome to episode 13 of Missile Industries Ford Falcon 351 and Crusty Wagon Project. Now here at Missile Industries we are all about safety. And since this is episode 13, I'm going to address fueling. I still have a fuel leak going into the carby that I need to address, and my petrol tank solution probably isn't the best solution going forward. So for this episode, I'm going to pull that tank out. I'm going to have a look inside it, see how crusty it is, and attempt to get the crud out of it before applying a generous quantity of cleaning vinegar and baking soda. I'm still doing some research on the most effective method to go by, but at this stage it's looking like cleaning vinegar and then baking soda and then petrol and then reassemble and then start and then high fives all round. I have had a look down the fuel filler of this car and it is a rusty, grotty mess. It doesn't look particularly good, and if I apply more light it only gets worse. So given that I've never owned a car this old and this crusty that's sat around for this long, I don't really know what to expect when I pull this tank out. Is it going to be this much varnish and then this much rat poo? I don't know, but you can come along for the ride and find out. Before I go pulling this tank out, let's just sacrifice a length of garden hose, see what comes out on the end of it, and stuff it in there. I wouldn't expect this to have any kind of anti-siphon technology in it, so I'm just going to shove this hose down into the tank and see what comes out. Alright, that should have done it. Just as I suspected. Varnish. So I found the radiator hoses that I bought replacements for buried in the boot of my car. That's annoying. That's $50 I could have spent on something else. Time to deal with the prospect of rat poo yet again, and I've been putting this off, but rather than use the vacuum cleaner that we use in the house, I've decided to buy a Tool Pro shop vac so that I can clean this out and contain the rat poo dust to the garage. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to vacuum all of this out. What have we here? Ooh. Oh, there's still fuel in there. Shit ton of fuel. Tank's brimming with varnish. It's going to pose an interesting quandary. How am I going to get all that shit out of there? Ooh. So it's the following weekend, and after discovering I had practically an entire tank of varnish to drain, festivities ended while I thought about a solution for draining the tank and putting all of that excess fuel somewhere. But first things first, I need to try and siphon some fuel out of it, or varnish, and see what it looks like. Is it half water? Is it half fuel? Is it fuel and something else? Kerosene? Only one way to find out. Okay, fast forwarding an hour or two, and the tank is out. There's only actually about 30 litres worth of fuel in it, and I look down to coil. Still fuel in there, and an awful lot of sludge. the next thing to do is gurney this out. So I ended up getting one of these from Super Cheap Autos, which is a battery powered fuel extraction pump thing, and you just drop it into your fuel tank through the top opening, and then you press the button there and it pumps the fuel out just like that. And as you can see, the fuel is a kind of a goldy colour, which suggests that it's probably off. But yes, this worked very well. I had to take the rear quarter interior cover off, and man, look at how many layers of dust are in this car. What a mess. Country car. So I've gurneyed out the tank, tipped it out into the environment in the most environmentally friendly way that I could think of, and if this fuel pickup is anything to go by, the inside of the tank is in a right state. So going to deploy the vinegar. I might actually soak this overnight in one of those bottles with the lid chopped off and get some more vinegar in order to do this all over again tomorrow. Let's see how it comes out after an overnight soaking. Oof. And in goes the vinegar. That's bottle number 3. And bottle number 4. Now this is only 8 litres, so I'm not exactly maximising the fill on this thing, but it's $2, it's $1.50 a litre for this stuff, so I'm going to see how I go with 8 litres and see what it looks like tomorrow morning. Might drop some chain in as well. There we go. I'll give that a bit of a shake later on. Now will be as good a time as any to blow out this fuel line. The good news was there was nothing but fuel in this end of the line, so the other end of the line's been sitting open for a while, so hopefully it's not full of mud wasp nests, but we'll give it a bit of a blowout and we'll see what comes out. See the red trigger in the space where the fuel tank used to be on the air line? Yeah. Just give that a good hard squeeze, and I'll focus on this end and see what comes flying out. Ready? Yep. That looks good. Not much has come out. That's alright. Just a little bit of fuel's come out of there and that's it. So I would say that's probably pretty clean, so once the tank goes back in, I'll just reconnect it all and I'll have a car that has a tank that has fuel in it that picks up. So it's the next morning, and oh yeah, I would say if I gave that a bit of a scrub, it would definitely improve. As you can see the tide level where the vinegar came up to, but might still need either longer to soak or a little bit of elbow grease to get that crud off, but I'll leave it a bit longer. Down here we have the tank. I've tilted the tank. You can definitely see where the vinegar was and it wasn't, because there's a distinct mark on the side of the tank, but it's still early days yet, so I'm going to have to let this soak probably for a couple of days at this rate. I'll keep moving the tank around so it soaks a different part of it. So this process is probably going to drag out. Summary time for episode 13's tank removal and cleaning. This is going to take me longer than I thought. I mean, last weekend if I had this thing soaked, I'd probably have it ready to go back in by this weekend, but the rate I'm going here, I'm probably going to have to put this tank back in next weekend? The weekend after? The good news is once the tank goes back in and it's all cleaned out, I can plumb everything right back up again, put a fuel filter on the front of the engine bay fuel line, and then fire it up and make sure that it draws from the tank without any dramas, and just see how much crud comes through that filter after firing it up on a tank full of clean fuel. We'll see what happens next time. Another thing worth mentioning in this episode is the pervasive reek of varnish smell in the shed since I cleaned the tank out. It's actually pretty unpleasant, so probably a good idea for me to spend less time in the garage this weekend while it all airs out.